This evening, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be taking notes on ratios. So I'm going to jump right into it. If there is any part of the video that you do miss, you need to make sure that you go back and rewind it and listen to it again. So the very first thing we're going to look at is what is a ratio. A ratio is a comparison between two quantities. A comparison between two quantities. There are three ways to write a ratio. You can write a ratio as a fraction, and it gives you the example 4/5. You could write a ratio using a colon, and it gives you the two dots in the middle. That's a colon. And it gives you the word 2. You can write a ratio using the word 2. There are four types of comparisons. The first one we'll talk about is part to whole. And with that, you use one set of data. The second one is part to corresponding part. That uses two sets of data. Forgot my part. Two sets of data. And don't worry, if you don't know what corresponding is, don't worry. When we do our lesson tomorrow, I'll make sure that I explain corresponding. The next type is whole to whole. That also takes two sets of data. And finally, we have part to part, which only requires one set of data. So the four types of comparison: part to whole, part to corresponding part, whole to whole, part to part. Again, if you missed any of that, please pause or rewind the video and go back and put it in. The final part of your paper, always remember when writing a ratio from a phrase, the ratio must be written exactly how the phrase is written. If a phrase asks for blue to red, then the ratio must be written blue to red. And again, I'll remind you, you are just taking notes at this point. I will make sure I do instruction for understanding tomorrow in class. I just want to have the notes out of the way so that we can discuss them and go on with our instruction tomorrow in class. Finally, always remember to put all forms of typo. Shouldn't be rations, it should be ratios. Mark out the N. Always remember to put all forms of ratios in simplest form. So we are always simplifying them. Thinking back to simplifying fractions, you can simplify the fraction ratios. If you write it with colons, they can be simplified. And even if you write it with the word 2, they can still be simplified. So please make sure that you have all the notes down. If you miss something, as I said, go back, rewind, pause, get it written down, and I will see you in class tomorrow with your notes ready to go. Have a good evening. I'll see you tomorrow.